Okay, so today we will mainly do chapter 12 lah, around 2 hours each, like that should be just enough. Okay, so chapter 12 is variation. So, okay, now for those who are online class student, okay, these notes, you won't get it, but I got post a soft copy inside our WhatsApp group. Yeah, so you can look at the soft, you can download yourself and print. Or for right now, if you don't have the notes, it's okay. You just write down only lah. Okay. Mm. Yeah, we do questions, then we write down lah. Now, 12 point, okay, chapter 12 variation. Now, what is the meaning of variation? Less so variation we learned before since Form 4, mitosis, meiosis, and chapter, which is everybody of us in this class, right? You, me, and everybody else. We all are not the same, right? So some more handsome, some more prettier, some taller, some even taller, right? Because all of us have different genes. We are same species but have different genes. So variation means, right, it's the difference of characteristics between organism in the same species. Okay, like even dogs also. No, every dog also look different one, right? So that's the thing. Now, but why do we need to be different? Why can't we all just like be the same, have same genes and just be the same easier? Okay, because number one, if you, me, all the same, we cannot recognize each other. So we want to be different is so that we can know the difference in characteristics law, know the differentiate law. Okay, this is actually considered one of the importance. So, but these two more important. Now, we have to be different, right? Is so that we can provide adaptation for organisms to compete in new environment. So let's say Earth, different part of the Earth got different weather, different climate, different condition. So you might need different characteristics to adapt. Okay, like last time in Form 4, I told you before, let's say like skin color. Okay, so usually Asians, usually like most of our skin is slightly darker than like European Western people, right? Their skin very fair one, more people. Because here, hotter a bit weather, sun hotter. So we need to have slightly darker skin to protect us from sunburn, skin cancer. So for people who very fair punya it's quite easy to get sunburn actually. Okay, because you don't have this thing called melanin to protect you, which later we'll talk about it. Okay, so this is an example. Usually Western people, they are bigger size because they are weather colder. So different condition, different climate, right? You need different adaptation to help you adapt. So if you have different adaptation to help you adapt to different environment, then only the species can survive better. So if not, right, then maybe the species can only live in one kind of climate, one kind of condition. And then your species die faster. Okay. And also enable natural environment to continue selecting beneficial characteristics and remove non-suitable one. Means, right, in human, let's say for example, right, from one generation to another, right, usually characteristics that are not very beneficial will slowly get eliminated. Means it will so this character will slowly disappear, 会慢慢不见在人. For example, let's say like blue hair. Okay, I know some people are quite a bit hairy one, but you can see right, most of us, right, we don't have like a lot of hair all over our body. Where you compare last time those cavemen, right, they have a lot of hair one, right? Then you see those pictures. Because last time we don't have clothes. Last time human live outdoor, right? Last time you don't have technology to build a heater, for example. That's why you rely on hair to keep us warm. But now we have clothes. We live indoors. So we don't need hair to keep us warm already. So these characteristics slowly get eliminated from human. That's the meaning lah. Okay. Now for 12.1, right, the main thing is, right, you must know how to differentiate these two types of variation. So you and me, for example, got our difference, right, is categorized into two types. Okay. 有些那种特征的人不见还是特征，那种特征 the characteristics disappear. Not of course not that kind of human disappear. So that characteristics 那个特征会慢慢不见在人。Okay, like 毛毛的手 hairy hair characteristics slowly disappear in human. Okay, and now continuous and discontinuous variation. Okay, you can focus on this, and this first. Okay, I'll explain these three first. So the okay, the difference between you and me, if it's not obvious, it's called continuous variation. It is very obvious, right? Like A, B, and that, right? Then this is called discontinuous variation. Okay. Aiyo. Yeah, if I look like I still haven't wake up, so sorry. Just ignore it. Okay, and then usually characteristics that are not obvious, right, are quantitative. Okay, you all study maths on, you know what's quantitative, right? Means comes from the word quantity, 数量, number, means I can use number to measure these characteristics. But this continuous variation is qualitative. Qualitative means you can use number to measure it, like 1 cm, 2 cm, 2 kg, 5 kg, like that. You only can use category to categorize it. Okay, 你可以用一些组别 to 去 categorize 这些东西. Okay, so for example, right, okay, here you can see already. All right, height is continuous because height can use number 5 cm, 20 cm, 170 cm, for example. Okay. Right. Obvious now, obvious. Now I'm explaining. So why is it not obvious? Let's say height, for example. If somebody is 170 cm, and then another person is 171 or 172, if you don't use a ruler to go and measure it, it's not obvious, right? 1 or 2 cm is not obvious one. Unless me more than 5 cm, then maybe only it looks quite obvious, right? So that's the thing. Okay, height, weight also the same thing. Somebody who is 40 kg, somebody who is 42, 43, it's not obvious unless you take out a weighing scale. All right. Okay. So skin color a little later first. Skin color is a bit different, but I'll explain in a moment. So usually, if you tabulate the data of, let's say, the height of your Form 5 students, for example, in your school, you will get a graph called a normal distribution, which you learn in maths, right? The bell-shaped curve. So normal distribution means there's a trend punya graph. Usually, something that is the value that is very high, let's say boys, 190 cm is not very common. Maybe one or two of you here is 190 cm. 180 is slightly more common. Asians usually not a lot 180, but not that common also. Usually boys, most common our height is around 160 something to 170 like that, let's say for example. Then if you are 150 cm punya boy, is also not common. So usually the data that is in between one is the most common. Okay, so like let's say weight also the same. Okay, people who are very big and people who are very skinny also lesser, for example. Okay, so you get a normal distribution graph. You get a trend. Okay, but discontinuous different. Now, first, it is obvious and it's qualitative. And of course, the graph will give you a discrete distribution. So let me give you an example. Okay, let me just mention something a bit more easier first, like blood group. So blood group, obvious. Obvious means, right, your blood group is either A or B or O. Or A positive, A negative, O positive, O negative, like that. So it's either this or that. It's very obvious, right? A and B, very obvious. It's two totally different things. For example, let's say color of your car. My car is red color, your car black color. Very obvious, right? So for this kind of data, right, the graph, right, is like a bar graph. A got how many? Got 15 people. B got how many? Got 10 people. O got how many? 20 people. Let's say, for example. Okay. So you cannot use like this graph to tabulate this data. Why? Because there's nothing between A and B. There's nothing between B and O. But this one, right, number, right, in between it got data, got value, 1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, infinite data. 数字是无限的嘛. Number is infinite one. That's why there are infinite data in between. But this one, no. Okay, there's nothing between A and B. So if I ask you, right, what is your height, right, you can give me a range. 170 and 173 in between lah. But this one, you cannot give me the answer. You tell me, between A and B lah. Okay, so same goes to the rest over here. Let's say ability to roll tongue. So whether you can roll tongue or not is yes and no. Nothing in between. You cannot say, sometimes yes, sometimes no. That the answer is not legit one. 不对的 because of and also one more thing for discontinuous variation, right, they are influenced by genetic factor only. 只可以被遗传 means you are either born with it or without it. So whether you can roll down or not, there's actually a gene that controls whether you can roll down. So you can try to do it now. Like you like that one. So most people actually can because chapter 11 we skip already, but there's this thing called a dominant gene. So the gene that controls whether you can roll tongue is a stronger gene, 比较强的基因. It's called a dominant gene. Means most people get it and can roll tongue. Okay, so if you cannot, right, means you usually cannot forever. You cannot learn how to roll tongue. It's either you can or cannot. So you will get this kind of graph, a bar graph, which is called a discrete distribution. Yes or no, nothing in between. Okay, so the rest, all these, right, are also inherited one, 被遗传的. Your fingerprint. Now let's look at this one. Loops, whorls, arcs. This one, need to remember, sometimes they will ask one. Okay, so loops is the most common one, like banana shape. Okay, whorls also quite common. You can look at your fingerprint, go and see which one you are. And this is also inherited. This one also you can use number to measure it. See, you must use it category to categorize, like yes or no, A or B, loops, whorls, or arc. And actually there's one more. It's called composite. Okay, composite, this one, actually, I draw one here like that. Look at this. Actually, this one quite rare, which I think this one, the pattern is actually quite unique. Okay, like this one, like two wave like that one. Okay, you go look at your finger, see whether is it. I see got a few people before are like that one. Okay, this is called composite. Shape of earlobe, this one also you need to remember is either attached or free. Attached means it's like, okay, like ding 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 like that one. Okay, like the Buddha ear like that. Sorry, that's free. Sorry, that's free. Free means 飘着的，没有粘着的。Attached means it's stick one, 粘着的。So usually these people, when teacher or your parents pull your ear, right, it's more painful one because attached you think a stick there. So you pull like your whole ear like, coming out like that one. Okay. Eye color, there's also a gene controlling it. Okay, whether you are black eyes, brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, or gray. Yeah. So there's a gene controlling eye color. But eye color, now why is it different than skin color? Okay, number one, we haven't mentioned it just now. Continuous variation is influenced by both gene and environmental factor. So it's kind of inherited, but kind of also affected by what do you do every day. 你的日常生活, what do you eat, what do you do, your weather, climate, for example. So height. Now, height is like 80% gene, 20% environment. So if your parents tall, most likely you are tall, right? But whatever you do every day also can influence your height. Right? Let's say if you eat more healthy, more calcium, you exercise, jump more a bit, then you might maybe grow even more taller. But usually for height, right, environmental is like 10-20% only. Okay. I'm a living proof. Okay. I not very tall only. I'm actually quite short only. Okay. I used to play a lot of sports, very active back in school. Okay. Jump a lot, play a lot of basketball, but not very tall. Only maybe grew a little bit. That only. Okay, because I'm taller than my brother. Okay, because I'm very active, but it just influenced maybe like a few cm only. So this one, yeah, it doesn't help you a lot, actually. Weight, you know, is more environment. Now, skin. It's also both environment and genetic, right? Okay, yeah, I know certain ethnic races, maybe the skin, you're born slightly darker a bit, but if you every day stay under the sun, your skin also get darker, So it's also affected by environmental. That's why it is continuous. And skin color is actually considered quantitative because there's no specific skin color. It's not like just now the eye color, that blue, gray, brown. Like that, Skin color is like there's a shade of color. Like you learn in physics, the color spectrum like that. From the lightest to the darkest, every single color also got. There's nothing in between each color. Get what I mean? That's why you won't get a discrete distribution like blood group like that. You get a normal distribution as well. Okay, so these are the easier difference to remember. Okay, there's one more also. This one is what I got mentioned just now one. There's intermediate characteristics. Intermediate means between each characteristics, there are values in between. 就是每一个特征的之间是有东西的。Like there's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 嘛 intermediate, in between got one. Skin color also same. Right? Between every color, in between it also there is different color one, from lightest to the darkest. So that's the meaning. But for this one, discontinuous, tada. You yes means yes, no means no. Nothing in between, no intermediate. 之间没有东西的。Okay, now the other two is related a bit to chapter 11, which we haven't learned yet. Okay, but I'll try my best here to explain. So it's controlled by two or more genes. So height, for example, in humans, right, there's no such thing as height gene. There's actually a few genes that control your height. Like maybe the height that controls your growth, the height that controls your metabolism, 新陈代谢, the gene that controls, let's say, maybe your muscle. Yeah, so it's a few genes causing you to grow taller or maybe shorter. This one is only one gene. Means blood group, there's only one gene controlling it. There's a gene controlling the shape of your earlobe. There's also a gene controlling whether you can roll tongue. Okay. Now, and then this one is a phenotype. Okay, phenotype means your characteristics is controlled by multiple pairs of alleles. So this one is controlled by a pair of allele. Now, for those who haven't learned chapter 11 in your school yet, allele is something like that. Okay, so let's say we take ability to roll tongue, RT punya gene. So ability to roll tongue, there's a pair of gene. So either is you can or cannot, right? So this roll tongue is a gene. But inside ability to roll tongue, there are two types, means can or cannot. So this is called an allele. So allele is actually a trait, 一个特征. Okay, so there in ability to roll tongue, there's two alleles, yes or no. That's why this is a pair. Okay, you understand more when we learn chapter 11. So now you can focus on the red one first, easier a bit. Okay, and there's one similarity according to our textbook, which is this one. Both shows difference in characteristics among individuals of the same species. Okay, now this part, they can ask for essay one. Yeah, misstated, you must write all these, but usually you just ask in structure, 2 to 3 difference only. Okay. So any questions so far? Okay. 最新了啊, everyone. Now we look at page number 3, which they say cause of variation. Okay, this part also sometimes they can ask you to explain a lot. Means essay question. Okay, so if they ever ask you what cause variation, what caused you and me to be different? What is the factors that influence variation? There's only two answers, genetic or environmental. Right? So genetic or environmental, there's only two answers. Usually, of course, they'll ask genetic, there are more things to explain. So let's focus on genetic factor first. So for genetic factor, there are two, sexual reproduction and mutation. So means during sexual reproduction, during meiosis specifically, is where the variation will occur. That's where genes start to become different. Okay. Mutation, this one also quite important. We will learn later. But mutation means Chinese, you say 基因变异, means your genes, right, suddenly got problem. Then because your gene got problem, you are different than somebody else. Down syndrome, for example. So Down syndrome is a type of mutation. Means it's not supposed to happen, but it somehow just happened. Okay, so that is mutation. That's why, because of mutation, you are different than other people. Okay, this one we'll learn later. Okay, let's focus on this one first. So sometimes that essay question, they will ask, explain how does genetic factor cause variation? So you can say now during genetic factor, during sexual reproduction, there is crossing over, independent assortment, and random fertilization, which is 1 mark, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then you need to explain each. So like we learned in Form 4, crossing over. Remember during your cell division, so you go and study about your cell division. During cell division, the time your chromosome will undergo crossing over, exchange genetic material. Yeah, this cause variation. So remember that time we learned in Form 4, everyone produce punya gamete, okay, whether is it sperm or even ovum, every single gamete, right, is different than one another. So all your sperm that you produce, right, they are not the same one. So got different variation, 有不同的种类 because of crossing over. So if you forget what's crossing over, is the time during your prophase 1, meiosis 1, the chromosome will hold hand, exchange genetic material one. Okay, this is what causes variation. So crossing over between remember that this one we learned in Form 4 between non-sister chromatids of a homologous chromosome, means a pair of chromosome, the chromatids here exchange genetic material. And then now you can see the blue mix a little bit red, the red mix a little bit blue. So mix already. So these two is different already. Okay, this is like, let's say chicken mix a bit of prawn. This is prawn mix a little bit chicken like that. So it's totally two different things. That's why I produce gametes, 繁殖细胞, reproductive cells, with different genetic combination. So these two sperm, so meiosis, they will split. So eventually these two sperm that form, right, they don't have the same genes. So variation. Okay. Now this one, we haven't learned before one, but we learned in chapter 11 also, called independent assortment. Means during meiosis, right, there's another factor that causes variation. This one we haven't learned one, which happened during metaphase 1. Okay, metaphase, right, is where your chromosome align as bivalent. Remember, they align in a pair at the equatorial plane one during meiosis 1. Okay, so during meiosis 1 that time, right, the way they arrange is random. Okay, so this is called independent assortment. Sort means arrange. Pi. Independent means they arrange independently. 他们排到很独立 means the arrangement of the chromosome is not dependent on another. Okay, let me just explain here what it means. Okay, let's say here you got two pairs of chromosome. Okay, let's say the big green color one is determine whether you handsome or not. Okay, so green color, let's say is handsome, then let's say purple is ugly. So this is your looks punya genes. Example. Then let's say this one is determine your height. Example determine your height. So let's say the small green color is tall, the small purple one is short. Okay. So when this cell split already, you get a tall and handsome punya sperm. Okay, over here lah. This one you get ugly and short punya sperm. Okay, but you can see, right, the arrangement is not fixed one. They can arrange like that, green, green, purple, green, purple, green, purple, or green, purple, purple, green. So right now I have a handsome and short punya genes at the left side and ugly and tall punya gene on the right side. So when this cell split that time, you get two different combination, 两种不同的 sperm 了。现在 you got tall, handsome and short punya sperm and ugly and tall punya sperm. Understand or not? So because of the arrangement is random, you don't just produce a fixed type of sperm. You can sometimes produce these two, sometimes you produce these two. Understand what I mean? And this is only showing 2 pairs of chromosomes. In human, we have 23 pairs. So there's millions of combination one actually. Like what's the combination where how they can arrange, they got few millions type of combination. Okay, the maths you can do yourself, and the formula 23 is 2 to the power of 23. Okay, yeah, you go key in your calculator, it's 8 point something millions. So that's why this thing, right, will cause all of us to be different. So arrangement of homologous chromosomes, they say, are independent of one another. So because that means they are arranged randomly at the equatorial plane, so it causes all your sperm to have different genetic combination. So if they ask you to explain this, it's like that only, 3 marks. Then random fertilization is the last one. So go back to the first thing that I told you. So since everybody produced punya gametes, right, got millions of combination. So when a couple gets married and they have a child, right? You don't know which sperm will fertilize which ovum. The ugly one or the handsome sperm will fertilize, you don't know. Okay, so you might get a very, very different combination. Okay, let's say this is tall and handsome punya sperm. This is the tall and pretty punya ovum. Then your child very tall, very handsome, for example. Okay, so because you got million punya combination, you don't know which child you will get. That's why you and your brother, sister, right, even though you are from the same parents, but you look different because you get different sperm and different ovum. You guys get different gamete punya combination. So they say here, due to just now those two crossing over and independent assortment, all gametes are different. And then you don't know which sperm you will get. So fertilization occurs randomly. That's why you will get a zygote with a total new genetic combination. Okay, can okay, like that. Later, this one I'll show you how to answer. Now, this part here, nothing much already. So for environmental factor, in our textbook, they gave us 3 examples. But of course, it's not just these 3. It's not just temperature, light, and pH affect you. A lot more things affect also. Okay, just that they just give 3 examples. Like, so what you eat every day. You eat a lot, you're very big, or you eat very little, you're very small. That's also a considered environmental factor. So pH usually affect plants, microorganisms more than human. So there's this flower called hydrangea. If you grow them in acidic soil, they are blue color. You grow them in alkaline soil, they are pink color. This one sometimes you will ask one, no? So you remember the litmus paper, the 石磊狮子 You know, in litmus paper we learn red is acid, then what blue is alkaline. This one just the balik. Acid soil, blue color. Alkali soil, pink color or red color. Temperature, okay, here they give us an example is Siamese cat. Chinese, you say 暹罗猫. Now this cat is some people like a lot. It's quite, if it's pure breed one, I think it's quite expensive one. Now, which their character, the special thing about them is right, their ear, their face, their legs is black color, but their body is white. Right? They like wear socks like that one. Their feet black color one. Now, this is actually due to they have a gene that produce dark pigment enzyme for fur color. This enzyme right, only functions at temperature less than body temperature. Means for human, body temperature is 37. But usually which part of your body is slightly colder and lower than body temperature are parts of your body further away from your heart, like your arms, okay, your ears, and maybe your nose, your face. Okay, so animals also the same. So since this part of your body is slightly lower than body temperature, the enzyme here will function and then produce black color. That's why this part of your body is black. Understand or not? Okay, but at different surrounding temperature, this cat punya whole body color will be slightly different, right? Okay, let's say this cat, right, usually is found a lot in China a lot. In China, got 4 seasons. So let's say during winter that time. During winter, usually almost your whole body also be very cold, right? Because the cold on the surrounding affect your whole body. So usually for winter that time, right, the cat, right, usually the whole body, almost the whole body will be black color. Maybe the part that's closer to the heart here, the chest here will be white because here is usually warm, but the rest of the part of the body will be usually slightly colder. So they will usually be black color. So Siamese cat in Malaysia, the weather hot so maybe here only here will be black color and the paws. But for in cold places, the whole body also will be cold. Will be black color, sorry. Okay. Okay, light, this one you know that is sunlight. Here I just give you one picture. So basically, you kena more sunlight, your skin darker lor. Okay, there's actually a reason. This one sometimes also they will ask you. Now, why the more you're exposed towards sunlight, the darker your skin is because when your skin kena UV, right, it destroys something called melanin pigment. Melanin in Chinese, you say 黑色素, means it's the protein that gives your skin color and also give your hair color. Basically, the more melanin you have, the darker your skin. Now, some people are just born with more melanin. That's why your skin darker. Lor. If you're born lesser a bit, then your skin fairer. Lor. Okay. Now, when you kena sunlight that time, right, UV will destroy the melanin. Then, since the melanin is destroyed, your skin will then, this UV very strong, but destroy my melanin, can't be produced more. Understand? Because melanin protects your skin, which is maybe dark color protects your skin from sunburn. So because your melanin is being destroyed, your skin will want to try to protect your skin more. That's why they produce more of this melanin when it's being destroyed by sun. That's why your skin becomes darker. Understand? Okay. Okay, so we're done with the first part already. Okay, quite a lot. Right? Okay, we do a few questions. Now, this one actually here nothing much. Here is actually telling us, right, what kind of traits are usually dominant in human. So, hair, I think I wrote the balik already. Straight. Actually, straight and curly. Straight is dominant, curly is recessive. Sorry, so I think I read the balik already. Yeah, so you can see here, these are the genes that are dominant. Means most people will have these characteristics. One, you can roll tongue, your earlobe, dimples. Apparently, is also dominancy. I don't have because both my parents also don't have, so I also don't have. Okay, this is recessive one. But we learn more about dominant recessive in chapter 11. So this one you just go through yourself. Okay, variation. I will do one structured question. You can look at the first one. Okay, first question. If you have this book, it's page 19. If you don't have, you just write it down lah. Dominant from curly, yes. Okay. Then maybe I write correct already. Because most people I see is straight hair rather than curly hair. So I thought maybe straight is dominant. Okay, yeah. Then maybe I wrote it correct already. Okay. Right. Most people is straight hair rather than curly one. Why this one the balik one? Okay, never mind. Not important. Okay, here they give us two different type of earlobes. So they ask us to label the type of earlobes. Sure. So you must know what is this called. See, this one is the Buddha ear one, not sticking one. This one I should already say lah. It's called attached. But attached lah. Free. So it's ding 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 ding, hanging free like that. Free ear lobe. And this one is attached punya earlobe. So like if you look at the next two questions, so they could give at that one. Identify these two traits. So one can roll tongue, one cannot roll tongue. Yeah, so they will ask these kind of things, so you need to know one. Okay, then one factor that causes variation. So guys, what was the factor we mentioned just now that caused you to have different shapes of earlobe? This one very important. You always have to ask like that one. Is what? Or what's the factor that caused your earlobe to be like that? There's only two, which is either, no, not dominant gene, no, cannot say that. So you say gene, so it's genetic factor lah. 基因的嘛. So factor that cause variation, I say already, there's only two answers. It's either gene or environment. So we will say genetic factor. Next, how the factor cause the variation. Now this one is just 2 marks only. So it's very easy. So under genetic factor, you have this and this. Obviously, your earlobe is not caused by mutation, right? It's a normal kind of gene that everybody has. So you can say, sexual reproduction occurs. Okay, then you can say, whereby during sexual reproduction, you can say one of these three. So I'll just say crossing over occurs. if let's say this is an essay question, 3 marks, 4 marks, or even more, then you need to continue explain. Where crossing over occurs between the non-sister chromatids. This will give you another mark. Between non-sister chromatids of homologous chromosome. Okay, so therefore, we're causing exchange of genetic material to occur, which then produce gamete with different genetic combination. That's how you explain. No? Okay, so this one I don't know already. So that's basically how you explain genetic factor. And then let's say somebody asks you also 10 marks on this thing. Seldom they will ask a lot. But let's say they ask 10 marks and you continue. Besides that, there's also independent assortment occur. Whereby the arrangement of each homologous chromosome is independent. So they arrange randomly. Same thing, explain only. Then next they ask type of variation. So what type of variation is this? There's only two, right? This one is continuous or discontinuous. Everybody, continuous or discontinuous? Yeah, correct, shall you? So this one is definitely discontinuous. Okay, there's one way I remember. I used to remember continuous, discontinuous, right? Okay, you remember the graph. So for this one, right, the graph cannot stick together. One must be like this one, ma. So you can see the graph is not sticking together. It's not continuous. One is discontinuous. Let's say height, for example, just now our height, right? Everything stick together, that one, ma. Right? So that's continuous, 连续连着的. Next, two traits which are of the same type of variation. So what are the other traits that is discontinuous, affected by gene only? Guys, can you give me examples? So other than this one, still got what just now you mentioned? Ada apa lagi? 还有什么东西? Yeah, eye color, can, blood group, exactly. Ada apa lagi? Blood group, yeah, blood group, eye color, ability to roll tongue. You want to write there also can. Your type of fingerprint also can. Got so many things. So usually our tag two is this your ability to roll tongue. Then you also have what blood group. So height and weight cannot. Yeah. This one your fingerprint, type of fingerprint also can. So many, exactly. 单眼皮, 双眼皮, yeah, your single eyelid, double eyelid, that one also is inherited one, but this one cannot write lah, because not everything is in the schema, not everything that we got learn one. So try to just keep it simple for answer. Yeah, ability to roll tongue, correct. Now, state one factor that does not influence the phenotype of the variation in 1.1. So phenotype means like the characteristics of the variation. So factor that affect variation, I say already there's only two answers. We already mentioned this is affected by gene. So what cannot affect your earlobe? What cannot affect your eye color is... What's the other factor? Environmental factor. So hot or cold doesn't affect your blood group, doesn't affect whether you can roll tongue. Okay. You eat a lot or eat a little bit, your tongue still can roll one. Okay. Then here, okay, sometimes you will ask graph like that. Okay, so they give you a normal distribution graph. All right. So this type of variation is the opposite than just now. Already just mentioned here, right? This one was continuous, discontinuous. This is discontinuous variation. Okay, now the reason must be very specific. You cannot say, oh, because it is affected by environmental factor. Based on this graph, it doesn't tell us, right, whether is it affected by environment or gene. So by looking at this graph, what does this graph tell me? What is shown in this graph, right, that allows me to know is discontinuous? Continuous, right? continuous. Sorry, I say one thing, they write another. Continuous. Okay, yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. So I haven't wake up, sorry. So in this graph, right, how do I know this graph tells me it's continuous? Because number one, this graph is got intermediate values, very good, 10. The characteristics has intermediate values. Some more. The type of graph shown us here is also the answer, right? What is this graph? It's a normal distribution, correct? Graph shows a normal distribution, also can. And there's one more. Bell shape is right, normal distribution better lah. But bell shape also sometimes gamma also say cannot, but yeah, I prefer normal distribution. Other than bell shape normal distribution, there's one more thing you can say is only what kind of characteristics you can like that, or means characteristics that are quantitative. Other number, they're only like that. If your characteristic no number, right, and row tongue cannot row tongue, right, your graph will be like this, right? Bar graph, discrete distribution. So you also can say the characteristics here is quantitative, number, 数字 quantity. Cannot hear. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2, 3. Can. Sorry, sometimes a bit problem on this thing. Go closer. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to graph, right, these are the three things you can say. Okay, one trait which illustrates this type of variation. So this one very easy lah. Height or weight, pun boleh. These two is the easiest one. Skin color also can. Now let me show you another example. Right? Okay, if you flip just like 2 pages behind, they give us two graphs over here. One is, of course, the discrete distribution. One is the normal distribution, height and rolling tongue. So they tell us here, right, give difference between the two graphs. So when they ask about graph, right, there's only three things you can say. So you cannot say, oh, environmental genetic, right? Based on the graph, it doesn't tell us environmental genetic. Based on the graph, there's only three information given, which is the same tree, lor. So you must write that one has intermediate, one does not. One is normal, one is discrete, one is quantitative, one is qualitative. So same, when they give you graph only, they ask you to base on the graph, then when you can write discrete. Okay? Right. So this one you can try yourself, is more or less the same. Then if okay already, okay, we do a bit slightly gay, but a bit one. Okay, this one the fingerprint, you go and count yourself lah, how many. Oh yeah, see the composite that I was showing you just now. See, it's like this one. So this one is quite unique, quite pretty lah, the pattern. Go and see yourself. Oh, got this one. Okay. And then this one you do yourself. Okay, let's look at page 27 if you have the book. So these twins, they say, diagram 1 shows identical twins during childhood and after 20 years. So during childhood, they are identical. They look exactly the same. Okay, identical means they have the same genes. So after 20 years, right, you can see got a bit different already. What's the difference? One a bit bigger, one a bit smaller. Okay, we continue. Now, so two reasons that cause the difference. Okay, first, what is the factor first before you answer this question? So the question didn't ask us the factor, so we determine first. What's the factor that caused them to look different right now? Yes, obviously, it's environmental factor, because remember, they are identical twins. They have the same genes. So that's definitely not genetic factor. And we learned before already, size is affected by mainly also environmental, right, rather than genes. So number one, okay, there's just two reasons. So we're going to state the two environmental factors here that could cause them to be different. Okay, come on. So what we have to say? What are the environmental factors here that cause them to be different? So they might do different what? They might have different diet. can. So you can say, yes, they may have different diet. One eat a lot of healthy food. One eat a lot of McDonald's. And also daily routine. Okay, you can say daily habit, daily activities also can, yes. And also they have different lifestyle, you can say. One always just lie down on the sofa. One exercise a lot, very active. One live close to the gym. uh, well, you live close to the gym doesn't mean you'll be very active, right? Just say I live close to the gym, but beside the gym is a McDonald's, so I go McDonald's instead of the gym. Okay, so next one, they give us also size. So one factor and also affect the size of that affects the banana size of banana fruits. So again, size usually is definitely environmental factor, right? This one I believe you all know already. But can you explain a bit on our guys? What is the environmental factor here that cause the fruits to be different? Why cannot gene factor? Okay, why cannot genetic factor is because they're from the same tree, okay, they're the same bunch of bananas. So the genes are more or less the same. Okay, so no gene, no genetic factor, but only environmental. So what's the environmental factor here? The amount of sunlight. Okay, soil cannot lah. Soil, they are grown on the same piece of soil, right? So this and this are from the same soil. So sunlight can. So if you receive more sunlight on the top, they basically have more, metabolism, the growth, maybe also a bit of photosynthesis is affected here. That's why, yeah, they'll be bigger. Other than that, there's one more thing also other than sunlight. One very obvious one. So the top one is bigger because the top one also get more what? Get more nutrients. Exactly. Because nutrients come from here, man. So the top bananas will usually absorb most of the nutrients, and then the remaining one only they give the below one. So the below one will usually get lesser. Right? Just like you eat all the food already, the leftover there only you give your little brother eat. That's why he smaller size a bit. Yeah, closer to the phloem so you get more nutrients. So again, this is environmental factor. Right? So why? So you can say the banana on top bananas on top receive more sunlight and most importantly nutrients. Now you want to say water also can because nutrients and water come together from the xylem and the phloem. So therefore they are bigger. So you can say therefore causing them to have faster or higher growth rates. Okay, let me show you one more. This is a bit tricky. 30. Page 30 if you have the book. 30, right? See this one. You see, okay, see there's two rabbits over here. They say that this Lepus eleni is a leaf in the desert, while the Lepus arcticus is in the Arctic polar regions. So polar means 极 or 北极, 南极 means colder places. Right? So of course you can see these two rabbits, they look a bit different. So the two rabbits have significant difference in terms of ears. Okay, they're very specific. They told you the ears, the 耳朵, not the same. So explain the difference. Now, why this rabbit, the ear longer? Eleni is the desert one, while in the cold one, it's shorter. So they also explain the differences. So why are their ears like that? So release heat, okay, yes, 请回很好, yes, Jin, you want to adapt to the weather. So by having longer ears, you get to release heat to the surrounding. So your body temperature can cool down. This is the opposite of cold. You want to maintain heat. So you can say the Lepus alani has longer ears to release heat, excess heat to surrounding. So let's consider the second point. So I mentioned the difference of the ears first, and then explain the reason. Okay, because they didn't tell us what's the difference, so you could spot the difference yourself. So this Arcticus has shorter ears to, you can say, reduce heat loss to surrounding. Now, then, next question. Now, I want you to think carefully before you answer me. Hear more sound. Wow, you're very funny, brother. Next, are the ear characteristics of both rabbits an example of variation? Yes or no? Are the ear long and short variation? So just like our ear just now, one is free, one is attached. So is this considered a variation? Yes, yes, yes. So many of you so confident. Okay. The answer is actually not yes. The answer actually is no. Why? So our ears, why is it you and me, our ear different is variation? Why their ear is not variation? Okay, I want you to look at it again closely, these two rabbits. This Lepus alani in desert, this Lepus arcticus is in snow places, polar, North Pole, South Pole. Short ear. Why is it not variation? Because both of these rabbit is different species. Different species, of course, different lah, right? It's like you compare a bird and a chicken, ostrich and a chicken, penguin and also a bird, for example. So yes, they are different breed. So what do we learn about variation today? Difference of organism in the same species, ma. So what we learn in chapter 8, this is different species, right? Genus, species, genus, species. So no, because they are different species. Understand or not? What? Yes. So this one a bit tricky. Then okay, there's a few essay questions which I'm not going to do because this one is like copy from the notes one. Like for example, page 37, they gave us two different variation. One is height, one is blood group. So describe the difference. Actually, just state the difference. I no describe one. So just follow the book. First, remember essay, you always can write the name first. So this is continuous, discontinuous, affected by environmental and genetic factor, affected by genetic factor only. One is quantitative, qualitative, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. And then let me show you another example. Okay, like for this one at page 41, they give us a few variations here, right? So they ask us to name the variation and explain the cause. So this is obviously discontinuous variation. So the causes mentioned first law, this is caused by genetic factor. Then in genetic factor, sexual reproduction occur. Then you can say whereby during sexual reproduction there is what crossing over. Then you explain crossing over. There's independent assortment. There's also random fertilization. So this is how the essay question can ask up to 10 marks one. Okay, quite easy to explain one. You explain everything is more than 10 marks already. Okay, and by the way, what's with the hand? Okay, yes, everybody you do a good like that. So when you do good at them, right? Okay, if your hand is like this, means it's a dominant gene actually. This is recessive. some people you're good, like very, very lame like that. Good. See, like that only is good, ma. If you look at your phone punya emoji, or you open your WhatsApp now, you put the thumbs up punya emoji. The emoji is like this one. Okay, so this is normal. Sorry, people who like that, you are a bit not normal. Okay, say I type for you the emoji. Emoji. Where's my thumbs up emoji? Thumbs up emoji. Where is the thumbs up emoji? Okay. So you see this emoji, guys. See the hand? This is exactly like this. Okay. So if you like that one, sorry, you're a bit not normal. Okay. So anyways, done. Let's go to the next topic. This one more important. Variation, under variation, right? Mutation. Next come page number 6. Now, mutation is another genetic factor that cause variation. Like say, if your gene suddenly mutate, you become something else. All right. Of course, not like movie like that. When your gene mutate, you won't have superpower. Your eye won't suddenly shoot laser. You won't have suddenly have metal claws coming out from your arm. You suddenly won't fly and can read minds. Okay, so that's just movies. In real life, when you have mutation, usually you become a bit cha-cha. Okay, so the definition of mutation means there's a spontaneous and random change of genetic material in an organism. So your genes just suddenly have a random change. Now, a new genetic material produced by mutation is called a mutant, like X-Men like that. However, this is not like X-Men like that. Usually in real life, like I say, if you're a mutant means you cha-cha. Okay, so a mutant can exist in the form of a mutant gene, so the gene can be a bit mutated, a cell can be mutated, or the whole individual is mutated. But this one usually not much meaning lah. Okay, usually we study this more. So if you have a mutant gene, you'll be a mutant individual lah. So for example, one of the common diseases that is caused by this is albinism. Albino, 白血病 means your skin very white one, very fair one. Your hair also white color one. So that's because you have a gene that is mutated. That's why you are mutated. Okay, later we learn about this. Now, substance which cause mutation are called mutagens. So mutation 是一个东西 that 导致到 mutation 基因变异 means it's something that causes mutation. Okay, so usually if you're exposed to mutation more likely you will have mutation. But sometimes mutation can occur randomly. So physical agents are basically like your radiation. So we always say radiation cause mutation, radiation cause cancer. Cancer is a kind of mutation, by the way. So yeah, UV, X-ray, alpha, beta, gamma, all these kind of things. Chemicals, you know what are chemicals, right? So if you smoke a lot, there's a lot of carcinogen in cigarette. They cause mutation, cause cancer. Like the one nicotine. So food preservatives, this one in chemistry, you learn one formaldehyde benzene, which can be found in certain food preservatives as well. So you eat a lot of Maggi, you eat a lot of those kind of processed food, you get cancer easily because cancer is also a type of mutation. Biological agents, certain virus and bacteria also cause mutation, but usually are these two more. Okay, now here I want you to listen closely up. Pay attention. You have two types of mutation. When you do questions that time, you must know how to differentiate these two different mutations because the disease cause is different. The explanation also is different. So if you have this book, if you printed out already, page 8, there's an empty space. If not, just write down on a piece of paper. Okay. Mutation, there are two types. So you know how to differentiate these two. One is called genetic mutation, which is called gene. And the other one is called chromosome mutation. Now, chromosome, there are two types. One is change in chromosome structure. One is change in chromosome number. Okay, right here, number. Okay, gene mutation is like this. So let's say here's your chromosome. So in chapter 11, actually, we got learn one. Like you can see in the diagram here, a lot for A, B, C, D one. So these are different genes in your chromosome. Let's say this is your earlobe punya gene, this is your tongue punya gene, and so on. So in your chromosome, you have different genes like that. So gene mutation is when one of the genes, okay, let's say random one, let's say this B inside, or the A inside here, the DNA cacat already. Because DNA inside got the word genetic code, right? Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, that one. So the code got problem already. So let's say this is your eye punya gene. So now your eye cacat. Okay, maybe let's say your eye one blue, one red, example lah. Or your eye suddenly can shoot laser. So your eye got problem. That's called gene mutation. Chromosome mutation, okay, there are two. Structure will look like this a lot. A lot of you will confuse between these two. A lot of you think it's the same thing, which is not. So let's say this again, you have the same chromosome over here. Okay. But structure means, right, now, let's say the A missing already. Okay, so I draw that lah. Okay, you can draw this down together with me. Like that. So the whole structure of the chromosome is different because one gene just disappeared. You see your chromosome shorter already. Or maybe you got one extra gene also, A, B, that. That's also called change in structure. Which usually this is more significant. 它比较严重, the effect is worse. Because now your whole gene disappeared. So imagine your eye gene gone, so you don't have the eyes right now. Understand or not? So let's say like genetic mutation is like, let's say my phone, the camera got problem. But the camera is still there. The camera still can take picture, just a bit cacat. Structure, right, it's like the whole camera, you cabut. You don't have camera at all. So you langsung cannot take picture at all. Understand? So usually this is more serious. Now the worst one usually is number. Number means, right, human, we have 46 chromosomes. Now you got one extra or one less. So Down syndrome is a chromosome number mutation because you got 47. You got one extra chromosome. For structure, your number is the same, but one of your chromosome maybe got the structure, the genes a bit cacat already. Okay. Yes. So we start with gene mutation first, right? Number 1, page number 6 here. Okay. Gene mutation, also known as point mutation. So it's the name for it. Sometimes you will ask one. Okay, now if they ask you to explain, this is the 3 things you have to know how to write. Now a bit of recap first. Last time we learned inside our DNA, okay, got 2 polynucleotide chain. Okay, so every polynucleotide, so there are 2 polynucleotides. Okay, so this thing is called a polynucleotide. So polynucleotide is a polymer. Like recently you learned in chemistry like that. Okay, like your polysaccharide. So inside a lot of monomers, right? So the monomer of your DNA, right, is called a nucleotide, which looks like this one. Alright. And then out of these 3 structure, which is the phosphate group, pentose sugar, and this one, the most important part, anyone remembers what's it called now? Got the ATCG inside it one. So it's the most important part of your nucleotide. It's called the base. Very good. Nitrogenous base. Still remember. Don't forget this. Okay, why nitrogenous base is the most important? Because your genetic code, the ATCG, is inside here. Okay, in gene mutation, this is where the problem happens. So let's say, okay, usually, yeah. Now in Form 3, Form 3, but Form 4 we learn, right? Yeah, here got no space already. Okay, I just go up a bit. Wait, nucleotide. Okay, so in Form 4 we learn, right? Your genetic code is always 3 by 3 one. right? Let's say here's ATC, okay, or ACT, let's say for example. So what happened during gene mutation is that the codes, right, they copied wrongly. So while forming the sperm or ovum that time, right, the C and the T, right, the I accidentally terbalik put already. Like you copy notes that time, you sometimes also copy wrongly. So by right supposed to be ACT, now ATC. So now your gene cacat already. So you copy the code wrong, one code wrong, then the whole thing is wrong already. So let's say if this is your I punya gene, your I will be cacat already. That's why I always tell you, always you all ask me, teacher, the name I spell wrong can? Cannot. So in bio, in science, right, spell wrong means wrong, just like your gene. You write wrong one letter wrong, the whole person cacat already. Understand or not? That's why cannot spell wrong name. This is why we always teach you must copy correct. So how do I explain this? Okay, there's a change in nucleotide base sequence. So this is the nucleotide, this is the base. Or if you don't want to be so complicated, you can say there's a change in nitrogenous base sequence also can. So the base, the ATCG changed already. So because the base changes, the code also cacat. Alters means it changes, 改变那个 code. So in Form 4 we learn, right, genetic codes control your cell to produce protein. So the code now cacat already. So the protein that they produce also cacat. See the protein structure change. So the new protein now cannot function. So let's say this protein is your blood punya protein. So your blood cacat lor. Let's say this protein is your enzyme punya protein, then your enzyme cacat lor. Understand or not? So this is what you must explain. The base cacat sequence change already, so the code also change. So now the protein produced also cannot function. Okay. However, there are 3 types of gene mutation. The example that I told you just now, right, is called sort of like base substitution like that. Means, right, see, originally is TTC, TTC fusion. Okay, so you can see one of the T, right, they copy wrongly already. They accidentally put G instead of T. So substitute already. Substitute means change already. So TTC become TGC. So you can see, right, this affect the amino acid produced. So the amino acid wrong, the whole protein wrong already. So base substitution means there's substitute of one or more base. So we are talking about the nitrogenous base. For base insert means got one extra lor. So you can see GGC, CTT, accidentally they put one A here. So this entire thing, right, will be pushed back. You see the GCCTT go back already. So now you can see, I don't just affect one amino acid, I affect 2 amino acids. So this protein even more significantly affected. Okay, so it's adding of one base to the normal sequence. And deletion means I just delete lah. See the GGC, now the G gone. So this whole thing now shift forward already. So same, I also will affect 2 amino acids. Okay, so there's one base missing. And here are the example of diseases caused by gene mutation. So these 2, they like to ask very often. Sickle cell anemia, number 1. Now, anemia, you might heard before, Chinese say 贫血, means you have low red blood cell. Now, sickle cell anemia is a bit different. Sickle cell anemia is mainly caused by genetic, means you're born with your gene cacat. So you can see here, it's mainly caused by base substitution in the hemoglobin gene. So you can see, right, I copy one code wrongly. One amino acid got problem already, then the whole protein cannot function already. Then you can see your red blood cell become like that. So one code wrong is very serious one. Okay, that's why I always tell you all, always copy properly. You copy wrong, just like your DNA, your whole body wrong, got problem. So hemoglobin gene got problem, the whole red blood cell affected. That's why genes, right, they are very precise, very specific one. Okay, so there's a mutation on the allele. Allele means the gene. We should learn more about it in chapter 11. Mutation on allele which involve in hemoglobin production. So you got abnormal hemoglobin. So sometimes they like to ask you what is the effect, what is the symptom. Now, number one, the red blood cell will have sickle shape. Okay, sickle in Malay is called sabit. Sabit means moon. Moon shape already, your red blood cell. Not moon, moon. Okay, I know sabit, right? Then, therefore, if your red blood cell so small, you cannot carry out hemoglobin and oxygen. So the less hemoglobin, less oxygen. So as always, when you have a lack of oxygen, this person will feel tired easily, feel always have dizziness, shortness of breath. This is always one package, right? When you lack of oxygen. It is the most common one they like to ask. Okay, then I skip the second one first. I go to the last one. Albinism. It's quite commonly asked as well. Sometimes you see this kind of people. Last time I remember my school also got this student like that, a student like that, whereby basically your hair white, your eyebrows white, even your pupil, your eyeball is like pinkish color like that one. Skin very fair. But it's not like those normal kind of fair. It's like the Michael Jackson kind of fair. Okay. Which is not healthy actually. Okay. Now it could happen in animals also. There's albino zebra. You can go and Google, go and search. There's albino panda also. So albino panda basically they don't have the black color thing. Their whole body just white color. Okay, you go and search yourself this one. Okay. So why is it not good? Now remember we talked about melanin earlier today. So there's the gene that's supposed to produce melanin, right, got problem. So this person have no melanin, 没有颜色素, no pigment, no color at all. So there's mutation where cause this person to unable to produce enzyme responsible for production of melanin. So that's why everything white. Now, this kind of people, remember I told you melanin protects you from sunburn, skin cancer. So this person can get skin cancer and sunburn easily. I think behind I have a K-Bug question which they ask then what does this person have to do to prevent skin cancer and sunburn? Means they have to always wear long sleeve when they go outdoors, especially. They always have to put on sunblock, put on sunshades because their eyes are very sensitive to light as well. Okay, like a bit like can open their eyes one. So they need this to help them. That's the K-Bug question that they will ask. I'll show you behind later. Okay. Then cystic fibrosis is a mutation on the gene that's supposed to help you produce mucus. Remember, mucus is made of protein. Protein is made of genetic codes. That's why there's mucus got problem whereby this person, right, produce mucus in the respiratory and digestive system are much thicker and stickier. So this person with the mucus is very thick, very sticky. You will cough constantly. You cannot breathe properly. Wheeze means you this kind of sound like that. And you have greasy, bulky stools. Stools means 大便 shit. It's very sticky and very large. This one, yeah, it's called cystic fibrosis. Okay. And then got one more disease which I didn't mention here. It's also caused by gene mutation, right? Where it causes you to have one extra finger one. You'll see people like they have, like let's say this is their 5 fingers. Sorry, very chachat. They has only one finger over here. Okay, so this is also is caused by gene mutation, whereby your gene, maybe it's supposed to produce your finger one a bit chachat. Okay, so this disease is actually called let me just write it down, polydactyl gene mutation. Punya example diseases. So it could happen in animals also, not just human actually. Are they able to control the one extra finger? It depends. Some can, some cannot. Yeah, some they cannot one. They're just there only. So some will just remove it off. If it's not like if it's getting in the way, something just remove it, something just leave it there. If I were this person, I would just leave it there because what? I got 6 fingers. Primary school that time you count to 10 only. If you count to 11, 11 minus 6, I can do 11 minus 8, you cannot use fingers. If I got this extra finger, right, I will keep it. If my child got this finger also, I will let him keep. Do maths then easier. Then grow older, only remove. Okay, so next, chromosome mutation. Now, chromosome mutation got change in structure and change in number. Like I say, change in structure will look like this one. So when you do question, you see carefully. Now, for gene mutation, right, question usually will show you DNA, the ATCG. They will show the A, the T, the C, the G, right? The sequence mixed up already. So that is gene, your DNA. Chromosome structure mutation, they will show you the chromosome punya structure. Got extra or less already. So this, okay, by the way, chromosome mutation mainly occurs during meiosis that time. For structure one, right, mainly occur in crossing over occurs. So crossing over occurs in which phase? Occurs in prophase 1. So it's the first phase of meiosis that time. There's a mistake. So this mistake caused the gamete to have mistake also. So this two is the most common one. Deletion, duplication. Now, so during crossing over that time, right? Let's say I supposed to exchange genes. Okay, let's say I supposed to give him A, and then I give him back A at that. Right? But now let's say when this person give A that time, I scam him. I didn't give back. So if I scam him, I didn't give back, right? Means now this person got one less gene, this one got one extra. It's like the fella say, hey, can you exchange this 5 ringgit bill with me? So you give him 5 ringgit already, then he didn't give you back. He ran away. So deletion and duplication sometimes will occur together, right? So when there's deletion, then there's another cell with duplication. So deletion, you can see one gone already. A part of the chromosome break off, loss. Duplication, a part of the chromosome is copied. So you got one extra gene. Now, inverse means the sequence change already. Usually these two, they don't ask that often. Now, before we move on, right? Deletion and base deletion. Different. Base is the genetic code, one of the ATCG got. This deletion is the whole gene got. So it's different. One is base, one is deletion only. Inversion, they say part of the chromosome break off, rotate, rejoin in a different order. So you see, by right is A, B, C, D, E, F. So they break off, rotate, rejoin in a different order. So now it's A, E, B, C, B, F. Get it? Translocation. This one I will call it you exchange girlfriend. Like chemistry like that. Okay. So meaning to say, right, they say here, a part of chromosome break off, rejoin to a non-homologous chromosome. Meaning, okay, homologous chromosome means, right, the same pair of chromosome. So we have 23 pairs of homologous chromosome, let's say, for example. So exchange of genetic material crossing over, right, supposed to occur between the same homologous chromosome. But now, during crossing over, right, they accidentally cross over with the wrong pair of chromosome. They exchange boyfriend, girlfriend already. So let's say this is supposed to be the blue color one, let's say supposed to be eyes punya gene. This is supposed to be your skin punya gene. So the eye and the skin gene mix already. Understand or not? So that's why you can see, by right, supposed to be A, B, C, D, E, F. But the D, E, F now is at another chromosome already. They're a different pair of chromosome. And then here's J, K, L. So this is called translocation. Okay. Then there's only one example disease we learn. Okay, I skip to page 10 first. mutation 是 cancer 吗？还是变异？变异 is mutation. Cancer is a type of mutation. But cancer punya mutation is none of this mutation we learn here. Okay. Because cancer, right? Okay, all the mutation we learn here, right, is mutation happen to your gamete, to your sperm, to your ovum. And then that's why the child will have problem. But cancer, right, is actually most likely a gene mutation. Let's say every day you kena radiation, the radiation cause your cell to mutate. Then the cell are just suddenly just mitosis non-stop because the gene got problem already. The gene that control mitosis got problem. But cancer is you're not born with it, right? So all the disease here we learn, right, is mutation happen to gamete. So the gamete got problem, then the child got problem. For example, okay, let's skip to page number 10 first. Sorry, today here I need to speak a lot before we do questions. Cry-Duchenne syndrome. So this disease is in French. Cry means cry. This shed means cat, kucing, mau means like cat cry punya syndrome. Now this person, there's a partial deletion on the short arm of chromosome number 5. So the 5th chromosome, okay, short chromosome got long arm and short arm like that one. So part of the short arm patah already. So this person, right, you can see his appearance very cacat. Now, why is it called Cry-Duchenne syndrome? Because the genes here that patah on the 5th chromosome, right, will cause his larynx to be deformed. Larynx means your voice box, 你发出声音的那个地方，假假。Okay, so therefore, when the child cry that time, right, the voice, the pitch should be like very high pitch, 很尖这样子那个声音. So the cry of the affected infants is like a meowing kitten. You can go on YouTube yourself and find out the sound. Eye and skin genes change, then can skin color become blue? No, usually this person will not be able to survive. Okay, so usually for chromosome mutation, right, these are very, very significant. Usually this person will die very early on. Okay, like for example, this Cry-Duchenne syndrome, right, they say here most patients die during childhood because you lack of certain genes, right, you cannot grow, you cannot survive. And by the way, right, chromosome number 5, right, mainly controls your growth and development genes. So this person will have mental and physical retardation. Physically very cacat, mentally also got problem. So usually these kids, they don't grow very old, they die very early on. So we only learn one chromosome structure mutation. The remaining here is all chromosome number mutation. Now let's look at page number 9. Now, chromosome number, we did learn this in Form 4, Chapter 6 before. Down syndrome. The explanation here is almost exactly the same. So this mainly happens during anaphase 1 or 2. So structure happens during prophase. Right? Now it's anaphase. Now, anaphase is the phase where the chromosomes split. So when the chromosome 分的时候 split that time, right, they didn't split properly. So causing the chromosome number in the sperm or ovum to be not normal. So if you inherit 你遗传到 this sperm or ovum, then your chromosome number also cacat lo. So how do we explain that? Okay, they say here, homologous chromosome fail to separate during anaphase 1, or sister chromatids fail to separate during anaphase 2. So anaphase 2, then we call it sister chromatids. Anaphase 1 is homologous. You go study back your Form 4 Chapter 6. But usually, you can just really say, non-disjunction of chromosome occurs. Can already. Non-disjunction means chromosome fail to separate. So usually I just like to say, non-disjunction of chromosome occurs. Why the chromosome will fail to separate? Just like we learned in Form 4, spindle fiber didn't pull the chromosome. Okay. Here they show us non-disjunction in meiosis 1 and 2 is slightly different. So non-disjunction in meiosis 1, right, is when the homologous chromosome, okay, then I didn't split, see? But right, it's supposed to like that one, supposed to 2, 2. But now, I split 3, 1, like that. So during meiosis 2 that time, also they continue 3, 3, 1, 1. So now this fella got one extra chromosome, this got one less chromosome. So let's say in human, this sperm got 24 chromosome, this sperm let's say got 22 chromosome only. Because our gamete number is 23, 23 plus 23, 46. Then for meiosis 2, right? Okay, 1 is split normally. But during meiosis 2, the time, right, let's say one of the gamete didn't split properly. So this one you can see split normal, 2, 2. But this one didn't split normal. So 3, 1. So if non-disjunction occurred during meiosis 2, right, usually it affects lesser number of gamete. See, this one is all 4 got problem. This one only 2 got problem. Okay, but most importantly, you must know how to explain the diseases. Now, here, the chromosome, right, is divided into autosome and sex chromosome. In chapter 11, actually also this one got learn one. Now we have 23 pairs of chromosome, right? Autosome is chromosome number 1 to number 22. Sex chromosome is the chromosome that controls your gender, is your last pair, number 23. So we are mainly going to learn about what happens if your sex chromosome fail to separate. It means you're going to have gender problems. Now in Form 4, we learned before this one, Down syndrome. Okay, Down syndrome is when the 21st chromosome fail to separate, and then you got an extra one. So these are all the symptoms that we learned before one. Okay, so Down syndrome is number 21. So number 21 is autosome. So we learned this before. Now, in Form 4, or in Form 5 now, we're going to focus on sex chromosome. So let's say there's this female here, have something called Turner syndrome. Now, this girl have one extra, have one less female chromosome. Sorry, before I explain this, right, since we skipped chapter 11 already, I have to explain to you male and female chromosome. Now, X chromosome, you can write it somewhere, is the female chromosome. Y chromosome is the male chromosome. And male chromosome is dominant. Dominant means 比较强，比较容易被遗传. The stronger one that is more easily inherited. Female is the recessive one, means 它比较弱的 is the weaker one, is harder to get inherit, 比较难被遗传. So chromosomes always come in pairs. So in female, you will have 2 X chromosomes. That's why you are a female. But in guys, you have 1 X, 1 female, and 1 male. Why? But since I told you Y is the dominant one, so for all of us guys over here, even though we have 1 female chromosome, we are actually still male. Because this is dominant, this is strong, this is weak. That's why we will be male. Understand? All guys and girls, standard one, fixed already one. Later I'll show you why. Now, so this girl, right, only got 1 X chromosome. Lack of 1 female chromosome. So if she lack of 1 female chromosome, this O means 0. So she only have 45, and have 46. So she will lack of a little bit female characteristics. 她缺一些女性的特征. Like for example, she don't have sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone level low, because you got lack of female chromosome, so the female hormone lacking. Okay. Most commonly, she will suffer from this problem. No female hormone, the what? FSH, LH, progesterone, estrogen. Also, she have no menstruation. 不能来月经. No menstrual cycle means infertile. You cannot produce ovum. You cannot have children. Infertile means you cannot produce child. You are not healthy. Your reproductive system not healthy. So you have underdeveloped breasts and ovaries. So you can write these 3. Now, little development of secondary sexual characteristics. Secondary sexual characteristics are characteristics not related to reproduction. Like in female, the breast, for example, is a secondary sexual characteristic. Here they say, underdeveloped. Now, other than that, right, her entire physical appearance is also a bit not normal. Usually, she'll be very small size. Because she don't have sexual hormone, means she cannot undergo puberty. 她不能发育，所以这个人小小个咯， very small size. Web-like neck means right, their neck like very thick like that. So they got a lot additional folded skin. So, but this one can don't need to write lah. Okay, you just write this one can already. This one in chapter 11, we learn what is X-linked recessive. What does the O mean? I just say already, O means 0. So she only got one X chromosome instead of 2, like a normal female. Okay. Now, so here, let me show you. Now you can help me to complete this diagram here also. Okay, don't copy first, because let's say if non-disjunction doesn't occur. So ovum, right, during meiosis at time, right, one ovum is supposed to carry X chromosome. Okay, don't copy first, because I'll show you what will normally happen. Sperm will carry X or Y. So if this sperm manage to reach the ovum first, you get a girl. If the Y sperm swim faster than the X, then you get a boy. So to get boy or girl, right, is 50-50, right? See which father sperm swim faster. Now, mother punya ovum, right, doesn't determine girl or boy, right? Because mother only got X. So I need to see which sperm swim faster. If the X swim faster, then girl, Y swim faster, then boy. So this is what should normally happen. But if there's non-disjunction, okay, non-disjunction can happen in ovum, can happen in sperm. But usually it happens in ovum. Because in Form 4, I told you before, girl only got one ovum. Guys got many sperm. So if the ovum cacat, no matter how healthy the sperm is, the child also cacat. But since sperm got a few million, if only 1 or 2 sperm got problem, the chances of getting the sperm is very low, right? Probability, you study maths, right? 1 out of a million. So now, if let's say there's non-disjunction in ovum, so the X chromosome didn't split, okay, the sex chromosome in female didn't split, but let's say the sperm normal. So if this sperm fertilize this kosong punya ovum, then you get Turner syndrome. Now, the same thing could happen in sperm also, but like I say, it rarely caused by sperm. So the XY chromosome, let's say, didn't split. Then these two split normally. So if this sperm fertilize this ovum, get the same thing. You can write this down also. Okay, so that is Turner. Klinefelter syndrome is happening in guys. This guy will have one extra X chromosome. Okay, one extra X chromosome. He got one extra female chromosome. So even though I say Y chromosome is stronger, but now you got 2 female. So the girl characteristics will show a little bit, and the guy characteristics will decrease a bit. So this guy will have show a more girl-like appearance, like that. Okay, so this is called Klinefelter. So I remember that I see this K is a Y like that. So this is the guy. Is a guy. Okay, he have one extra X chromosome. Okay, so since you got 2 X chromosomes, right? These 2 X, right, will show a little bit of their characteristics and suppress那个 Y chromosome punya characteristics. So this guy will have low level of testosterone. Means his male appearance characteristics will decrease a bit. So testosterone is like the male sexual hormone, 男性的 hormone. This hormone, right, allows guys to have deeper voice, guy punya voice, man punya voice, like that. Okay, cause guys to be, bigger size, stronger a bit than females is because of testosterone. Now, and also sperm production is also controlled by testosterone. So if a guy lack of testosterone, just like this girl here, she lack of estrogen. So you're also going to have sexual related problems. Means you have underdeveloped sex organs and you have low sperm count. So testosterone stimulate testes to produce sperm. No testosterone, testis is not stimulated. Sorry, your balls will be a bit small and you cannot really produce a lot of sperm. So you cannot really have a kid with someone else. And due to you have extra X chromosome, right, you have slightly developed breasts. And your voice a bit like female like that. Okay. Yeah. So if someone does IVF, could they prevent all of these? Yes, correct. So of course, when you do IVF, that time they will the whoever does the IVF will see the ovum and sperm first. Takkan like Down syndrome also they connect. Correct. So IVF usually can avoid most of these problems. So Klinefelter is due to this sperm, this sperm fertilize this XX punya ovum. So you got XX1. And it could cause by sperm also. Okay. Later I'll teach you how to explain this. We do one question. We end slightly later a bit, around 12:40 at that, 12:45 at that. Okay, Y is dominant, so even 2X is male, correct? Correct. This guy will be still male because Y is the dominant gene. He will still be guy, but due to 2X, the female will show a little bit, but he is still a guy. He will still have bubble, but overall his physical appearance will be mixed a bit of girl like that. The hips and the breasts will be wider a bit. The shoulder will be narrower a bit like girl like that. Yeah. Okay. Now, triple X, trisomy X, this girl got one extra X chromosome. Now, out of these three that we went through so far, this is the most normal one. So this girl, usually she will grow up very healthy. No obvious defect. Her sexual hormones normal, have normal pregnancy, normal menstrual cycle. But somehow they say, due to the extra X chromosome, this girl usually less intelligent. Is tall and less intelligent. Don't know why. Okay, see, they're very sexist. Got one extra girl chromosome, more than less intelligent. So they say that this girl is most likely to have what are all these problems, low IQ, they learn things much slower, ADHD, and so on, and usually she's taller. But scientists until today cannot really explain why this extra X causes this problem. But usually this one, in terms of sexual reproduction, organs, it's normal. What if XX gamete combined with 0? Then lucky you, this girl will be normal, lor. XX chromosome. Yeah, means if let's say the sperm also cacat, the ovum also cacat, then the child will be normal, lor. Cancer off already. But the probability of that to happen, right, is very low. Because like I say, usually a cacat sperm to reach first is very low possibility. It's possible, but very low chance. What if the Y sperm fertilize the O? Now, if Y sperm fertilize this 0 one, usually this child won't make it past pregnancy. Means before the child is born, you will die already. Even 胎生就小 miscarriage will occur because X chromosome, right, there's a lot of other genes in the X chromosome. So if you don't have X chromosome, right, you cannot survive. There's a lot of very important genes carried by the female chromosome, which we learn in chapter 11. So this person will die very early on. So triple X, how do you get? Triple X is this one. So triple X cannot be caused by sperm punya error, and it can cause by ovum punya error. And you see there's no way of getting triple X over here. Okay. Why got abdominal pain? This one also I'm not really sure. This one I don't know how to explain, but usually it's related to mental. I hear their learning capabilities not very good. This one I'm not too sure why lah. Okay, XYY is the rarest of all. Now, number one, this guy got 2 Y chromosome. After this, we do a bit of question. The question quite important. Okay, how does this 2 Y appear? Because here we can see, right? Oh, only got 1 Y. Where does the 2 Y come from? Okay, the 2 Y will appear if it's non-disjunction in anaphase 2. So, assuming, let's say, this is the XY chromosome, male and female. So during meiosis 1, they split normally. Now this is a Y. So during meiosis 2, you have to split one more time. But this Y chromosome didn't split. So both of the Y end up in the same chromosome. Instead of end up in the same gamete instead of like that. So now this sperm will carry 2 Y. So the sperm that carry 2 Y fertilize an X ovum, then you get XYY. But since this is caused by a sperm problem, very rarely it will occur. Understand or not? But if you have this extra Y, Now we will call these guys as alpha males. Chinese is say what? Chinese got one saying what 猛男 something like that. Okay, so since you got two Ys, right? Now this person very scary because boys, right? Guys, right? Already very naughty, very 乖懒, right? Guys usually are more aggressive, right? More likely to commit crime compared to female. So with this extra Y chromosome, right, these guys usually be super aggressive. Now, number one, more Y chromosome means more testosterone. More testosterone means you'll be taller, you'll be stronger than normal guys. And more testosterone means right, these guys will be more aggressive. They are more likely to, beat up someone and get into a fight and more involved in criminal activity because they are more 暴躁, they are more aggressive. Okay, 超凶 yes, call what 超凶 exactly in Chinese. Okay, so they have behavior problem. So usually your school, right, if got people, they always like very aggressive. Right? You look at them a bit, then they be like, what? You want to fight? Those kind of people. Okay, Siki, he triggered want to fight one thing, he very strong one. Usually maybe he have this problem. Okay, why acne problem means a lot of pimple? Is because, when guys hit puberty that time, you have sort of pimple because you got extra testosterone level. But now you got more testosterone, more like you have more pimples. So this is called Jacob syndrome. So don't ever name your child Jacob. Okay. So we went through all the disease already. Okay, last one here, nothing much. Mutation in somatic cells and mutation in gametes got what difference? So all the things that we learn here are mutation in gamete. So gamete mutate, the child also mutate. Now, mutation in somatic cell means, let's say, today, I take radiation, I take the gamma ray shine at you. Then your somatic cell, your skin cells start to mutate. The next day, what will happen is you might have cancer. So cancer is caused by mutation on somatic cells. So you have me write example here, cancer. But let's say the radiation didn't mutate your somatic. Let's say I shine the radiation right at your balls, then your sperm mutate. So your sperm mutate, right? You won't have any problem, but your child will have problem. So this cause inherited disease. Like what thalassemia, all the disease we learned today lah. Sickle cell anemia, albinism, Down syndrome, all of this. Okay, this is something you ask difference. Okay, this three is the easiest to write. Example also common. So it involves somatic cell like skin cell and eye cell. Gamete means sperm ovum lah. Gamete. Your gamete got problem. So somatic cell, you say your skin cell got problem, then you have skin cancer. So usually you don't pass on to the next generation. Cancer, you don't pass on one. But gamete got problem, you pass on to the next generation. Okay. And this one is something like this one. Disease is only present on the individual. But this one, disease is present in the individual and also inherited by the next descendant, 就是 next generation, 下一代. Okay, so you just remember 1, 2, and one example, so easier a bit. Okay, one can be inherited, one cannot. Okay. Give me around 10 to 15 minutes. We do a little bit, then we end. Almost ready, guys. Little bit only. Okay, so first, look at page number. Where is it? Yeah, where you got PM words? Behind here, 30 something, I remember. 40. Okay, here, page 33. Okay, come on. We do a few questions. Now, how mutation affects characteristics of a red blood cell? So guys, when you look at this question, right, is it gene or chromosome mutation? Gene or mutation? Come on. Few questions, then we end already. This is yes in end, 很好. It's gene mutation. Yes, Ren Xiaoyu, correct. So you see DNA. the gene, the code changes. So it's your genes of the DNA. Genes means DNA, which very specific. They say here, this is gene mutation. They already say here, by the way, cause sickle cell anemia. So sickle cell anemia is a DNA problem. So they ask here, how mutation affects the characteristics of red blood cell produced. Okay, so basically we need to explain, like what I told you just now, how to explain gene mutation. So gene mutation is your nitrogenous base. The sequence got problem already. So you can say there is a change in the nitrogenous base sequence in DNA. But now I'm going to be more specific. What DNA is this? This is a hemoglobin gene. So I say in hemoglobin gene. Okay, for this question, you want to be more specific also can. This one, if you want to say substitution also can, you can see the T become A ma. So you can say base substitution occurs in hemoglobin gene also can. More straightforward, more direct also can. Okay, you want to say base substitution also can. Then when this happen, the code cacat already. So you can say, this alters genetic code in the hemoglobin gene. So causing the protein, see the protein inside the hemoglobin now different already. So you can say, causing protein structure in the hemoglobin to be different. Okay. Then they ask one thing here. How does it affect the characteristics of the red blood cell? So here I just want to mention one characteristic of red blood cell. So you can say the red blood cell will have sickle shape. Simple that. The red blood cell has abnormal hemoglobin, also can. So this is how you explain gene mutation, same like just now in front one. State another name for gene mutation. Okay, so I should already give you the answer lah. Just now we already mentioned, right? Gene mutation, another word for it is called point mutation. Then this one, they really tell us it's a chromosome mutation. And very obvious, this one is what chromosome mutation? Is it number or structure? It's quite obvious. This one is structure become short already, yes. Now this one we cannot say deletion of nitrogenous base. This one is just deletion. Nitrogenous base is the base. This one is base, code means the base. So this one is just deletion only. See, it becomes shorter already. So the process here, deletion. Okay, becomes shorter already. So explain the process here. Okay, very simple. So you just write like the book like that. Part of the chromosome breaks off and is lost. So that's deletion. So usually they ask deletion or duplication, only these two most of the time. Okay. How chromosome mutation cause cry-Duchenne syndrome? So literally just write or you wrote just now. So cry-to-shed syndrome, like the next page of that. So the fifth chromosome, the short arm, deleted already. So you can say there is a partial deletion. So you write deletion, it's 1 mark already. On the, must write short arm of chromosome number 5. So chromosome mutation, they like to give you like page 34, this kind of diagram. They give you a karyotype. So very obviously, number 5 here, pata already, this is called cry-to-shed, the cat cry syndrome. So 2 characteristics, one of it, the name of the disease. So the sound of crying infants, means baby, sounds like a meowing kitten. So remember, chromosome number 5 is control your growth and development one. No larynx. We say this lah usually, whereby they have mental and growth retardation. Okay. Now just need a few more minutes. We explain one question, do one comparison one, then done already. Okay, come we do question number. Okay, this one, like few pages in front. Page number 29. Okay, so here they give us a karyotype. Now, what is this person's disease? What's this person's problem? Go and find. So this one, you can see what's the abnormality here. They only have, they only have one X chromosome, right? Correct. So it's X also is called Turner syndrome. Look at here, so obvious. Okay, we only got to learn 2 chromosome number punya problem. Sex chromosome 1 and 21st one Down syndrome. So we only got to look at these 2. And another one is the number 5 pata, cry-to-shed. That's all. Okay, we only learn these few only one. Now state the number of chromosome in the offspring. So this fella total got how many chromosome? 1 less than normal ma. So normal is 46. 1 less is 45. Exactly. Easy. And then this is the one that usually they'll ask. How the error during formation of sperm cell can cause this genetic disorder. Okay, I don't want to do sperm, I want to do ovum. It usually occurs in ovum. So for sexual chromosome punya disease, right, you have to pick sperm or ovum, either one to explain. Because sperm and ovum non-disjunction, right, is different. One is XX, one is XY. But for number 21, right, you don't have to specifically pick sperm or ovum, because whether is it girl or boy, right, number 21 is the same. Okay, so you can just say non-disjunction at 21st chromosome. But now you must say, okay, ovum here already say so you must say during meiosis in oogenesis. But for Down syndrome, you can just say during meiosis. Okay, now I mentioned ovum, so I say oogenesis. Non-disjunction occurs in sex chromosome. So in female, sex chromosome is X. By right, I supposed to form ovum like that one. Now I form one ovum like this, one ovum like this. So between these 2, you only need to mention the one that caused the disease. So who caused the disease? The kosong one ma. That's why here kosong ma. So just mention ovum with one with no sex chromosome. So you can bracket like that, 22 plus O. A normal gamete supposed to have 22 plus Y or 22 plus X, 23 in total. Now only got 22, one less, so 22 plus O is produced. So I mentioned meiosis, I mentioned gamete, now fertilization. Got meiosis, got gamete, got fertilization, they only got child. So now there are two possible sperm. X punya sperm, Y punya sperm. Don't need to say Anna phase 1, don't need. I still say non-disjunction. Non-disjunction means included already, 1 or 2. So let that write easier a bit. Okay. So there are two possible sperm now. So only the X1 fertilizes one, I will get a Turner syndrome child. So I just mentioned. If this ovum is fertilized by a sperm with X chromosome, so this sperm is 22 plus X. Then a zygote with karyotype 46 plus 44 plus O is produced. Or is it a zygote with one less chromosome is produced? But then you must bracket 44XO. Ovum, here we can just generalize it, can just write ovum, don't need to write secondary oocyte. Okay. So if let's say they ask Klinefelter syndrome. So for Klinefelter syndrome is this fertilized by this. So the explanation you just say ovum with 2X chromosome, 2X chromosome is produced. Instead of 1, you say 2, then it's 22 plus XX. Okay. Then now you fertilize by a Y chromosome, then you get Klinefelter. So Klinefelter, you just change the highlighted words only. Then it's Klinefelter already. Same method. Okay. So yeah, we do one last one. Just give me 5 minutes, very fast one. Okay. Page 35 is the somatic cell and gamete cell mutation. So this one you can write just now. I will note this one. Okay. Simple. Then last one, comparison. Compare then done already. Okay, they like to sometimes ask this one, like page 44. Last, promise, last, then we can end already. Okay. There are 2 chromosome disease over here. One is this, one is this. This is the Klinefelter syndrome. This is Down syndrome, right? 21st cholesterol. So they ask us to compare contrast. Similarity is different. Yes, sorry. Small one is Y. Y chromosome is smaller one. That's why just now I say, right, without X chromosome, you cannot survive because X chromosome got more genes inside. Okay, so Y is small, X is big. That's their size. You must know how to recognize one. Okay. So first, similarities. Now, both of them are the same type of mutation, right? Both are what mutation? One or more chromosome number. Okay, so both are chromosome mutation first. They are the same type of mutation. Okay. And yes, both, right, have one extra chromosome, 47. So you can say both have 47 chromosome. This one, please write down. Some very important question. Then If let's say one is Turner, one is Klinefelter, then you just write both have abnormal chromosome number lor. But now both is one extra ma. Okay. Then both is caused by the same reason. Both is caused by non-disjunction of chromosome. Non-disjunction, then only you got chromosome number not normal ma. Okay. Now you can write two more. Non-disjunction, this mutation occurs during meiosis. When you form gamete that time, you didn't form properly. And since this is mutation, it is caused by a mutation. So maybe you expose too much radiation. That's why your gamete got problem. That's why you say, right, girls especially, when you plan to have babies soon, right, you need to take care very well of your body, eat less junk food, eat less those kind of what food preservative one, and also don't smoke. And you cannot expose yourself to radiation. Means if you undergo X-ray recently, you cannot have child for the next few months because radiation causes mutation. So maybe your ovum cacat already one. Okay, so girls especially because girls you only got one ovum. Understand? And some skincare product you use, right? They also will say one pregnant woman you cannot use because some skincare they have small amount of like mutagens inside they might affect your cells. Okay. Now difference easy. First, name of the disease. Name always got mark one. This is Klinefelter syndrome. And this is Down syndrome. Okay. Then can you guys help me with one more? So okay, see both got 47, but the chromosome that they have extra is different, right? So for example, correct, one is at sex chromosome, one is at 21st. And specifically, this one is X. So sex chromosome got two types, got X and Y ma. So you must say this one has one extra X chromosome. This one has one extra 21st chromosome. And then, this one also can explain. You have one extra X and one extra 21st because the non-disjunction occurs at different pairs of chromosome. So this one you can say is non-disjunction occurs at 21st, at sex chromosome, means your last chromosome. You can say occurs at 21st chromosome. Wait, show you very good. So the last one, since one affect gender, one does not, means Klinefelter only occurs in male. Female is terminal. Female that can never get Klinefelter one because if Klinefelter means you have a Y, you are male. Down syndrome does not affect sex. So this one can be XX, can be XY. It doesn't affect Down syndrome one. So occurs in both male and female. Okay. Then the others you try yourself. So this one is compare chromosome and gene mutation. So chromosome and gene similar. It's also caused by occur during meiosis caused by mutation. Then the difference, the answers I already post in your WhatsApp group, you see yourself lah. Okay. Some people cannot wait to leave already. So this one you try yourself lah. Here got one more also. This one a bit different. This one is quite to shed. So this one also you see yourself. One got one number, one is structure lor. But both are chromosome mutation. Just say one number, one structure. So this one you try yourself. Okay, so if no problem, in a while I will post the notes for our Amali. Then yeah, today is just until here. Next week we got chapter 13, but that one shorter a bit. 11 until 12:30, 1 hour half can settle. Okay, so yes, bye bye. Bye Xin Hui. Bye bye everybody. See you. Got YouTube, got you do your chemistry and physics first. After that only I do bio. Bio last ma. So Tuesday lah. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.